What is going on, everybody? It is Cuda here, or Kian, and welcome back to the channel. Right quick before the video starts, I just wanted to thank you guys for being awesome. You guys have totally smashed views, likes, and expectations out of the park on my first 3 videos, and I just wanted to thank you guys for that. So let's keep it going, and thank you. And just a reminder, if you guys do like today's video, to please hit that like button and maybe consider subscribing. It is free, and you can always take it back at any point, but I don't know why you would. But yeah, anything you do interacting with this video or my channel helps, and I really appreciate it as we are on the road to 100 subscribers. So thank you guys for everything, and let's jump right into today's story. Today's a very interesting story because it is my first college story, and college was very insane for me. I've only been going for a year, but I have a ton of stories that I want to tell from college, and this is just the first one. This is a crazy one. So to put this all in perspective, College Cuda was a very fun, easygoing person. He always liked to follow what the group was doing, never really was a leader. Now, as much as you might be thinking, Keaton, isn't that a bad thing that you just kind of followed what everyone else was doing? And yeah, it totally was, and you're about to see why. Now, before we start this story, I just wanted to add a bit of a disclaimer because my actions in this story aren't very good, and I just want you guys to know that don't make decisions based on what you see in my stories. Make decisions based on what you know you're comfortable with and what you think you can do. Because if you just make a decision based on your story, you're going to end up like me in this story time, and that is not very good, believe me. But anyways, without further ado, let's jump right into it. It all started off as a normal day. I woke up a little later than usual on this day, probably about 10 o'clock. I headed out for class, got class done with and over for the day. I remember it was a Friday, so I only had 2 classes, and they were pretty short. And now, classes at this time weren't very difficult. I had one education class, and it was like an athletic coaching class. It was really easy. And then one of my classes was an economics class, which actually was pretty hard, but I usually got it done and over with, and I actually ended up with a B in that class, so not too bad. But anyway, I go back to my dorm. I say what's up to my roommate. He's a cool-ass dude. I grind out some homework, and I get a text from one of my friends. Let's just call him Steve. Steve was a cool-ass dude. I met him on, like, pretty much the first day, and we were best friends ever since. He actually was from my hometown, which is crazy because I didn't know him before. But yeah, he's a cool-ass dude, and shout out Steve. You know who you are if you're watching this. So I get a text from Steve. I open it, and it reads, "Yo, were we gonna make those riggies tonight?" And now, what he meant by riggies were a classic dish from our hometown called chicken riggies. We're from Central New York, and chicken riggies are pretty big there. They're like a penne vodka with chicken and like peppers and onions and stuff like that. It's pretty good, but we were gonna make it for all the people who like didn't know what it was that we were friends with from college. So yeah, he hits me up and makes sure we're still making the chicken riggies. And a really important part of the story is one of the ingredients for chicken riggies is a vodka sauce, which we needed to buy the alcohol for, so keep that in mind. So we got in his car, we went to Walmart, picked up everything, went to the liquor store, bought a bottle, and then we went back and proceeded to go into the kitchen and start making our riggies. So when we got into the kitchen, we had a couple friends say what's up. They came in, hung out with us for a little bit, and we said what's up to them, hung out with them a little bit. But basically me and Steve were just making these riggies, and when it came part to crack open the bottle of vodka to make the vodka sauce, we poured a couple shots, and this is where the story really takes a turn downhill. So after the first round of shots, we then decided to take another round of shots, and then that turned into, by the time we were done cooking, about 7 or 8 rounds of shots that we were each taking. And we basically downed this whole bottle after we used it to make the vodka sauce. To put it quite simply, we were hammered by the time we were even considering going out. Mind you, again, it was a Friday night, so we had plans to go out. And that's where the night got infinitely worse. So one of me and Steve's friends hits us up and is like, "Yo, do you need a ride?" And he was talking about the frat party that we were planning on going to that I completely forgot about. So Steve turns to me and he's like, "Yo, do you want to go to this party?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, that's awesome," because, you know, me, drunk, not thinking, yeah, let's go to another party, ingest more alcohol. By the way, don't do that. That's a bad idea. And let me just say, if you ever get into this situation where you've ingested a lot of alcohol and you are feeling quite drunk, do not ingest more alcohol. Instead, drink water. That's what I should have done here. But no, dumbass college Cuda had to fuck everything up and get wasted. So we hop in our friend's car and we're on the way to this party at this frat. And now I'm not going to say the name of the frat, but we pull up. The brothers are all, getting lit. It's awesome. It's a good time. We pay our fees, we walk inside. And now, if you've never been to a frat before, basically the fee at the door is basically paying for your alcohol inside. So usually they'll have like a keg or like alcohol for you to drink. And that is essentially what you're paying for. So we get inside, we get our drinks. I was sipping on some jungle juice. Once again, a horrible idea to drink jungle juice. I should have stuck with the beer. Beer's not too bad when you're drunk, but like jungle juice definitely fucked me up. And Steve even vouched too, because he was drinking the jungle juice and it was some pretty strong stuff. Like, kudos to whoever did that batch. But anyways, we're dancing, we're partying, having a good time, and eventually one of my friends hits me up, and this is where we introduce you guys to character 2 of this story. Let's just call him Troy. Troy was a cool dude, big stoner, and me and him met on the first day, actually in the first week sometime. We live in the same dorm right down the hall. He was a cool dude. We hung out every so often, but he hit me up and he was basically like, yo man, me and a bunch of the homies are going to the park. Y'all should totally meet us there. We're going to smoke and, hang out there. And so I tapped Steve and I'm like, yo, Troy wants us to go to the park, bro. And he's like, right now? Like, we're leaving right now? And I was like, yeah. Like, do you want to go? And he was like, yeah, fuck it, let's go. And mind you, this wasn't right after we got to the party. This was probably after like 30 minutes or 45 minutes of being at this party. But we had already partied enough at this frat and we were trying to chill with some of the other boys. And so we got our designated driver and he brought us to the park and we met up with these boys. It was actually in a cul-de-sac at this park and it was really cool. It was like at night. Our college is on the water. So we were, looking at this lake and it was awesome. So we're all chilling. Troy has his car there and our designated driver has his car there. And me and Steve are talking to some of the boys. The group that Troy brought was 3 of our really close friends from the dorm and then one of their friends. And we were just kicking it. We were having a good time. We were, chilling by the lake, talking, drinking a little bit. The drivers obviously were not drinking, but, we were just hanging out. We were having a good time. And this is where things really started to go downhill because I was already really drunk. But this is where the story really turns upside down for the night. So as I'm stumbling around his car, Troy taps me on the shoulder and he's like, yo, do you maybe want to smoke? And drunk me was not thinking about the consequences of doing so. So he whips out this pen and I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I should. I'm already really drunk. Like, I don't know if that's going to spin me the wrong way, And he's like, yeah, man, I understand. Like, it's totally up to you. Like, I was just, asking you if you maybe wanted to. And at this point, like I said, drunk Cuda was not thinking about the consequences of his actions. And I felt bad because he offered it and I was saying no. So I took it reluctantly and never do this. But I ripped the pen like 3 or 4 times. And let me tell you, that was probably the worst decision I could have ever made that night. Allow me to explain further. See, this pen was no ordinary pen, and I figured it out after the fact, but this pen just had to have been laced with something. Nothing crazy, I'm not talking like no heroin or cocaine or some shit like that, but it was definitely laced with like a psychedelic or something, like maybe mushrooms or LSD or something. Definitely not your ordinary dab pen. But yeah, anyways, about 15 minutes pass and I was starting to feel really sick to my stomach. At this point, I was definitely starting to experience some visuals and the world was basically like breathing and turning, and this was the point that I realized that I was definitely too fucked up. Like, it's hard to explain, but basically I just felt like I was dreaming. Like, nothing felt real to me. That night my brain was firing on all cylinders and I was piss drunk. I was now high and tripping, I think. I don't know. It was crazy. So I asked our designated driver and told Steve that I didn't feel good and can we go home? And they both said yeah. So we got our group together and we got in our designated driver's car. I sat in the front, and let me tell you, that was another poor decision. So you see, the thing about sitting in the front is you have more of a view of what's going on, and there's more moving objects, and you just see everything much more. Now, if you're sober, that's not such a problem, but see, College Cuda was not sober. Basically, I was fighting the urge to throw up the entire way home, and it was an awful ride home. So we pull up to my dorm. It was conveniently Steve's dorm too, so we both hop out, and mind you, Steve hit the pen as well, so he's experiencing some of the same things that I'm experiencing, and we're both sick to our stomachs. We're both just, ready for bed, gonna try to sleep it off and try to just knock out and not think about it, but no, that didn't happen. So as we're walking into the dorm, this group of kids, we don't really know them, they approach us and they're like, yo, is he okay? Like, is everything okay? He seems really pale. and I look at Steve, and he is really pale, and Steve looks like he's gonna pass out. So I ask him, I'm like, Steve, are you okay? Like, you good, man? And he's like, yeah, I need to go to bed. And I was like, all right, let's go. And I'm looking at Steve's face, and Steve's face is just breathing and twisting and turning, and I just have one goal in mind. It's like, I just had to get him to bed. I just had to get him to bed because I felt so worried that he was going to like pass out or something. You know, we would have to talk to like the authorities or something, and I just could not do that. So with the help of these unknown strangers, we walk Steve to his room. He gets in, he shuts the door, and I didn't hear from Steve for the rest of that night. I guess he went to bed and he didn't throw up, anything like that, and he just, you know, passed out. Unfortunately, I did not get that same luck. You see, I walked back to my room, and somehow by the grace of God, I actually got there, remembered the code, punched it in, walked into my room, and I just knew right when I got into my room that I had to go to bed as soon as possible. And so I didn't change, didn't do anything else. I just walked straight to my bed, took my shoes off, and fell right into bed. And so I'm sitting there, the world is spinning, breathing, and twisting, turning, and I'm starting to get the spins from the alcohol that I'm feeling. And it's just an awful experience trying to fall asleep here. Somehow I got comfortable, and right as I'm about to fall asleep, I all of a sudden hear a vibration, and it's my phone. And this was 3 strikes, you're out. This was the 3rd major mistake that I made this night. I rolled over and I answered the phone, and it was one of me and Steve's friends who lived in another dorm. And so I picked up the phone, and the first thing she says is Steve okay? Did he get to his room? Is he sleeping? Like, is he okay? And she sounded extremely panicked, and I was just like, look, like, Steve is okay. He's sleeping. Just leave it at that. Like, it's okay. We're both trying to go to bed. You know, we're both really fucked up. Just, you know, leave it at that. He's fine, okay? And she was like, oh, I was just trying to make sure he was okay, but okay. And before she even got done saying that, I interrupted her, and I was just like, look, I have to go. I don't feel good. And I just puked all over my floor. I felt it coming the entire conversation, and this is why I said I shouldn't have picked up the phone, because as soon as I picked up the phone, I just knew that I was going to throw up. I got this awful wave of nausea as she was talking, and everything was just twisting around me, and it was just awful. And so I puked all over the floor. I puked all over my shoes, and my roommate jumps up, wakes up. Mind you, this is at like 3 in the morning. As he's walking over to the door to turn on the light, he goes, you fucking dumbass. And I was like, I know, I'm sorry. And he's like, Kian, I will not clean that up. I will puke all over the floor if I clean that up. Like, I'm sorry, but I can't. And I was like, oh, shit. And he didn't tell me he was doing this, but he called my best friend / the girl I was talking to, mind you, who lives in another dorm building. And she walked all the way over across campus to my room to clean it up for me. Can I just give a little shout out? Because I know you're watching this video. I love you. Thank you for that. That was awesome. And yeah, she cleaned everything up like the champ that she is. And she even bagged up my shoes. And I washed them the next day, and they were disgusting. I woke up with the worst hangover that morning, and I didn't get out of bed until like 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It was awful. But yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the longer video. Moral of the story is, don't do anything that I did in this story, and you'll be fine. But yeah, all jokes aside, if you guys did enjoy today's video, make sure to hit that like button, and if you want to see more content from me, hit that subscribe button. But yeah, guys, it's been real. I've been Cuda, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.